Everybody around the accident area call me Carol Jean, but everyone in Friendsville calls me Carol. I grew up on a farm about a mile off of Bear Creek Road. On it's Claude Fike Road now, but when I was a kid, it was just a road. Now, we have my dad's cream can here. There would have been more than one at the farm, and I think my son Mark has one, I'm not sure. It has his name tag on, and as a kid I can remember mother or daddy, probably my mother most of the time, brought the cream down to the old Leslie Friend building, which was a post office when I was a kid. And they would leave the creams out on the side porch, and when they brought the mail up from Confluence by truck, they would pick up the cream and take it with them and leave cans from the previous week. So I was lucky enough to get this cream can at an auction of all places over in Bettinger. And the reason it's got primer on it is my brother-in-law redid it because it was really in bad shape. It was rusty and bent and had a few holes in it, but he fixed it up. I was going to have a picture of the farm painted on it, but now I've decided I don't want to mar it up with a picture. My mother had, I can only remember 3 cows, so that's why we only usually had 1 can of cream. We had a milk separator which took the cream off the milk, and then you had what they call probably 10% milk now, 20%, but it still had a little cream in it. We milked those 3 cows, and that's where she got the cream. She also churned butter. About every week, every 2 weeks. She had a few people around in the Cove area and accident area that would occasionally buy a pound of butter from her. And sometimes cream as well. She also made what we called smear case, which is cottage cheese from the soured milk. And of course, even though the milk was skimmed, it was doctored up with pure cream, so it was really good cottage cheese. For most of our meals, well, probably all of our meals, we drank a glass of milk, which came out of a quart jar, which you stirred up the cream in. It was truly whole milk and not pasteurized. And we're here to tell the tale. So, we didn't have a milk house of cream like this. We only had a basement in our house. It's a really old house. I don't know that anybody knows exactly how old it was. It had been in my dad's family for a good many years. It was an old plank house, but it didn't have a milk house like this in it. My grandparents had one, so that's how I know that a lot of people that had these kept their cream and their butter and that sort of thing was in the water in these milk house, which is supplied by a spring. This is no longer a working spring. At one time, it was piped over to the house here, but it sometimes goes dry in the summer, so the people that we bought the house from had hooked onto town water. There's a draft at this end, which the water runs out and down away. It's always cool down in here, and I know it was at my grandparents' too. And she would set her bowls of cream and milk or whatever in the water on. It has 2 levels. Well, it has a deep level, this end and the upper end, and a shallow level here in the middle. And that's where they put their bowls of milk, cream, whatever they wanted to keep cool.
So this was like the refrigerator.
This was basically their refrigerator, yeah. I guess it was just always cool enough in our basement that nothing ever spoiled down there that I know of. It just stayed cool all the time. Not only did the mail trucks pick up people's produce or their milk products and that sort of thing, you could also hitch a ride. It was almost like hitchhiking because I took piano lessons with Lucille Signs down here, and I would walk down to Bear Creek Road from the farm on a Saturday morning and wait for the mailman to come and get on his truck and come with him to Friendsville. But I had a wait time till noon till we went back up the road so I could go home. And sometimes he'd have other passengers in the cab of the truck and you had to ride in the back end. And in the wintertime, that was a little chilly riding back there. In the summer, it was just my mom, dad, and myself. So we did everything together. I don't have any brothers or sisters, so it was just the 3. When I was really young, after my granddad died, my dad got a tractor, and they had to pitch the hay on the wagons, and about that same time, he and his best friend decided that they needed to buy a hay loader. So they bought a hay loader together, and then they shared haymaking with each other. Then later, his friend bought his own hay loader, and they bought their own rakes and that sort of thing. So then it just left my dad, my mother, and I. So I would drive the tractor. My dad put me on a tractor when I was about 9 years old. It was a Ford tractor, easy to drive, and I would pull the wagons with hay. And when I got older, I also drove the tractor to pull the binder when we cut grain, and he would send me out to mow hay in the morning, and then in the afternoon I had to go out and rake up what I had mowed the day before, so that when he came home from his truck driving job, we had hay ready to be baled. So it was a continuous job. Of course, I also had to help Mother with canning and all that good stuff that goes with farm at the time. We had a lot of chickens too when I was growing up, so she had lots of times as much as 30 dozen of eggs, 3 crates of eggs. At that time, as near as I can remember, she took them to Accident to Fratz's store and bartered for groceries with the eggs. Later on, when Russell Wright had a feed store, then we came to Friendsville for chicken feed. And she liked to pick through the feed bags so she could have pretty ones and several alike so that she could make clothes with them, because she made about all my clothes, and then most of them was made out of feed bags. Dad was a person that always said, do not say you can't do something until you try. And he was great. He was a great teacher. And he insisted that you learn how to do it properly. And so that if for some reason I'd get hung up when I was pulling hay and a hay loader behind me or the baler, if I'd get hung up, he'd say, you can get it out. Now you know how to get it out. And if I couldn't get it done, then he'd start coaching from the wagon. Do it this way, do it that way. If it still didn't come out, then he'd come and he'd say, okay, get off the seat, you're not going to get it out. But he was really good. He wanted you to learn. And I think that's missing a lot now with people. The kids kind of are all to themselves. And they have no one to really teach them the basics.
Did you have to milk the cows too?
I did when I was older. I could milk one to mother milk them two. So I was pretty slow at it. And she had one cow, but only liked her to milk her. And she was helping with a dinner up at the church. And my dad had to milk the cow, and the cow kicked. And he got up and said some nasty words and hit the cow with the milk stool and told her not to do it again. And then she sat down and milked her.